Okay, so I'm here at the Cheerful Tortoise, hanging out with Mao and Nevets from Mao's Football Show, which you can listen to every week on Tuesday nights on Cascadia FM. And so we're just hanging out with these two great gentlemen, and just want to see what you guys thought of the draft. And what do you think of the Timbers' first pick, Darlington Nagbe? Go ahead and start us off, Michael.
Yeah, it kind of follows the pattern that we've seen with Spencer and Wilkinson. They orchestrated two trades in the first 45 minutes of the draft. They took Nagbe second, Reese Salgado went first, but then they traded up for the 11th pick and then traded it away, and then they traded the 20th pick to Seattle, so they ended up only with 2 draft picks. So it was definitely kind of exciting to be following along, but still confusing as to what the plan really is. There's obviously more going on behind the scenes that we're privy to, and they announced, the Timbers didn't announce yet, but Kenny Cooper signed more or less officially with the league. So that's obviously part of the equation, but yeah, it was exciting. I mean, it was cool Nagbe's great. He's a proven scorer at collegiate level, National Player of the Year. He didn't want to be in Canada, he wanted to be in the U.S., and that benefits us. So it's a good day for the Timbers.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise, I think, to see Salgado go number 1 and Nagbe fall down to us. What do you think about that, Nevets? Is that shocking to you? What are your initial thoughts about drafting
Well, everybody
Nagbe?
was talking about Nagbe and Kitchen number 1 and 2, but at the same time there was Salgado, who came in and had some training with Vancouver and Portland, Vancouver and Portland, and so those two teams were very familiar with the guy. So maybe even the Timbers would have took him if Vancouver were. So it seems like at least just the talk and kind of what I'm thinking is both Vancouver and Portland are kind of going outside the norm of MLS, the way that they're setting up their teams, because we've heard some of the talking points from Alexi Wallace and those guys, and they're like all confused and kind of like, and so I think it's a good shake-up actually for the league to have some new blood in there to do something different. And I don't know, I think it's positive.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how do you see, Darlington Nagbe? What do you see his role as with the Timbers, and how do is he going to be a starter from day one, or how do you see him being used by Spencer?
Yeah, I think we know they're going to run a 4-4-2. Spencer said that over and over again. If they do indeed have Cooper signed, he's obviously going to be the number 1 sort of target man on top. He's tall, he's a proven scorer in MLS. Nagbe's only 5'9", but he is kind of a beast. He kind of alluded to it in the interview they had on ESPN, that he can play a supporting role, so sort of a withdrawn forward. He can still score, but he can also get Cooper the ball. He's going to be an attacking player. That's what his role is, definitely. But I don't think he'll be the point at the top, because he's, if you've got, that's why you bring Cooper in to fill that role. So I think it's great. They get those 2 guys, plus they have DK and Eddie Johnson, who are both proven scorers on the 2nd division level, to whether as substitutes or changing the pace against different teams depending on the formations. You have every one of those 4 guys is a completely different type of player, and I think that's definitely to the benefit.
Well, obviously, I think with that role that they drafted, he is a forward, but the thing is that was the first piece of our midfield, because he even mentioned it on the broadcast, and it was probably because of the Timbers had been talking to him that he was going to fill in right behind the forwards. And I'm sure, because in college he was a forward, either the Timbers were talking to him about that kind of thing, or just the kind of the scouting report was like, when you go to the next level, there's going to be better forwards than you, especially when you first go in, and that's going to be your role. And that's a good sign that he isn't going in there with the idea that, well, no matter what they've said, I'm still going to be a forward. Because a lot of guys won't give up that kind of a position, but he mentioned that he can be the point guy, but he mentioned it like 3 or 4 things down the list of things that he can do. So,
well, the thing that Spencer's done so far, and Gavin obviously, is they've gotten guys who play multiple positions. So, whether or can fill different roles. So a guy like Kerry Gilbert or a guy like Rob Wallace can attack out of defense. Jeremy Hall is a defender and midfield. They've got guys who can switch in and out of midfield and attacking roles. And so he may be playing a 4-4-2, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a flat, boring, three
something to also think about Spinny, like he's definitely like he's kind of looking at as a modern football manager. He's coming in from that angle because he was a forward.
Yeah.
And even though he played in the old school, like in Scotland and England, he's, from everything that we've heard, is that he's trying to be more of a modern manager.
He's very progressive with his offensive philosophies.
And one of the things that if you look around the world, with especially like even with the Brazilians, what they're doing, they're slotting guys that were forwards, they're slotting them back as backs and wings. And so even though we've taken a lot of heavy positions on maybe some of the forwards and those kind of positions, we might be seeing some guys moving from a forward position or a midfield position and playing on a back line position.
Or vice versa, defender moving up.
And one of the things
or a midfielder moving back.
Last year we saw Ryan.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah, we saw Ryan Moore playing inside out last year, and I'm not sure if Spencer cares about that or what, but he was playing on the left, and the majority of his goals were where he blast in from the left and either take a pass and score or cut in sort of on a run.
Usually cut into the middle.
Yeah, so it's clear that they're willing to be flexible and sort of work with players based on what their skills are, and I think that's a huge benefit to the Timbers. And they're forward thinking in their approach to acquiring players, we're finding out, but also if they're willing to be flexible with these guys on the field.
It makes me wonder if Vancouver though is kind of, especially with the managers that we have, when we know he's definitely a defensive minded manager, but that's an old approach, I think. I don't know, it still remains to be seen. It's probably not a bad idea to build from the back, but the Timbers have definitely built from the back, but they've built from the back in a more versatile way, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
It leaves them open so that when they start bringing in more of these signings in the next month, they can, have a lot of flexibility with who they bring in, and they're not limited to, feeling like they have to go out and get this position.
Yeah.
And in terms of defense, what do you guys think of the second round pick?
Don't know a lot about it. Chris Taylor,
Tulsa, a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, he's a defender from Tulsa, which is good in the sense that Ryan Moore is a Tulsa guy, so they've got a connection, and that's something that they've done all along. Is they've tried to put guys together, whether it's Paul and Wallace who played together in college. Bruner and Adam Moffat played together in Columbus. They're building a team from scratch, but they're building in these relationships that already exist.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. He may not know.
What's his size?
He's 6'1", 160. So
He's a
that's
big
kind
kid.
of,
He's a
he's
pretty big
tall,
kid.
but he's thin. So,
But I was just wondering if maybe with the scattering reports that the Timbers are using, is they didn't feel that he was played in the right position in college.
it's possible. Yeah.
And maybe they've talked to him, and he's like, I mean, it's all speculation, but
They
maybe,
left a lot
maybe
of
they
the
can
work,
see,
so
they can
they must have
see
seen
him
something,
moving
yeah.
to, instead of playing a defensive role, maybe he's playing a midfield role. Because we're playing pro now, it's not, we're
Similar to Nagby. Nagby, played forward in college, but in MLS, most people project him as a midfielder attacker. So,
But in terms of the pick itself, I think it was a shock. I don't think anybody. I think a lot of people thought maybe maybe Rooney, maybe not. But there was some high level talent still on the board. All those Ecuadorian guys were basically still on the board.
Pete and Grossman were still there.
Yeah, there was a lot out there. So it's kind of surprising that, given the focus they seem to be putting on attack for this method of acquisition of players, that they took a defender with one of only 2 picks. Now, we're recording this before the third round's over. They may end up doing more trades and taking some more players, but at the moment, that's all we have to go on. So, yeah, but I mean, just looking at his bio really quickly, he's like academic, all-American, and all this stuff. I mean, he's a smart guy, and that's got to factor in Spencer wanting guys to be able to move around and understand different systems. We want a guy who's bright, not just good. So,
and not just deep.
And not just bright DK, that's right.
Any other thoughts, guys, about the draft in general? Any surprises or things that caught you off guard, maybe?
Well, I was kind of surprised that Don Garber didn't realize that the first pick, who the first pick was, and on the tweet he mentioned that the first pick was the second pick.
Yeah, not a good showing for the
We'll forgive him for that one, though. He's done a lot of good stuff. So.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think Mouse football shows on that guy. No, I don't know. It was exciting. I mean, this is I watched part of the draft last year mostly because I wanted to see Dana Milwaukee and where he'd go and stuff. But just having Portland in the conversation, they were showing the billboards, in the pre-draft sort of video stuff, and it's just great to see Portland on the same level with some of these other established cities and teams. And just having a chance to get together even in the morning with a bunch of people here at the Tortoise, and Ryan Poor was here hanging out with everybody, just watching the draft with everyone else. It was pretty cool. So yeah, definitely an exciting time.
Absolutely, guys.
And also, I mean, just knowing in the back of the mind what the guys are saying on the TV isn't what's really true or happening with the Timbers. They have no clue.
Yeah.
They're up for a shock, I think.
Which is why we will get a poll going on, and this upcoming Tuesday, make sure everyone tunes in to Mouse Football Show. And these guys
4
will.
o'clock,
4 o'clock Pacific time.
Yeah.
And do you guys want to preview a little bit of what you're going to be doing this Tuesday?
It'll mostly be the stuff we're talking about right now, just a recap of the draft. Hopefully we'll talk more about Kenny Cooper. Hopefully we'll talk about this Colombian mystery man that's a midfielder or forward. We're not sure. They start training camp on the 20th, so that's a week from today. So we're expecting a lot of action. We're not expecting too many guys to still be announced, big name guys, after they've already started training camp. So that's the main thing we'll be.
All right, guys. We'll all be looking forward to listening to that.
Thanks
All
a
right,
lot.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for doing that. All right.
Cool.
Good stuff.